NFL Week 14 preview, and of course, we've got betting picks for you guys as well. We're going to look at some of the big games this week. And guys, we already made our picks for the college football conference championship games on the audio version of the podcast earlier this week. So go give it a listen if you haven't already. It's available here on YouTube or, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. But let's jump into these games, Alex. And look, the best game of the week, I think, starts with the first game of the week, Thursday Night Football, Lions, Packers, NFC North battle. Lions are a 3-point favorite right now in this one. What are you looking for in this matchup? What side are you leaning towards here?
Oh, I'm firmly leaning towards the side of the Packers. I got the Packers all the way here. All the way here. I see from my perspective. Maybe you have something different. I see, and as far as ESPN, it's a 3-point spread for the most part. So, even Vegas is calling this close. But I think Mike LaFleur and team will be ready for this game, and they're going to be able to do some things that Detroit will not be able to stop, and they'll be able to exploit some of the defensive deficiencies that the Lions do have.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this matchup, I think that's something to watch here. I think when I look at the Lions, they have an elite running game, as we know, behind that great O-line, the two good running backs. The Packers defense has been a little shaky versus the run, but they've been a little better the last couple weeks defending the run. So that's something to watch in this game. The Lions, to your point, have had 15 players go on IR this season, 12 of them on the defensive side of the ball. Injuries are starting to really plague this team, especially on that side. I mean, all the injuries to their linebackers. This could be tough. It's gonna catch up to them at some point here, Alex. And it has me wondering if this is the spot. But for me, I'm still having a hard time trusting Jordan Love. Look, he's been good the last few weeks, but he could be reckless. And he hasn't looked like the Jordan Love we saw from last year. This really feels like a coin flip game. I went back and forth, looked at different matchups in this game, but it came down to this for me. It's a short week. So on a Thursday night, typically you got to lean towards the home team. So I went Lions here, even though I think the Packers have a legitimate shot. I'm with you, but home team, short week, Thursday night, I'm going to take the Lions and lay the 3 points here. How about NFC West? We've got an NFC West matchup. Cardinals, Seahawks. Cardinals are a 2.5-point favorite. This Seattle defense is something I'm circling here, Alex, because they've definitely gotten better this season. We've seen the improvement from that side of the ball. Mike McDonald comes over, obviously a defensive coordinator for the Ravens, installing his defense. It's kind of taken some time for it to gel, but it's starting to click now for Seattle. They're playing better on that side of the ball. Cardinals offense really struggled the last time they played Seattle, only put up 6 points. Last week, Arizona only had one touchdown that to settle for a whole bunch of field goals. Look, I don't trust them versus Seattle. Seattle's getting 2.5 points here. I think they should be favored in this game. I think it's a pretty even matchup, but I'm going to take the points here and Seattle on the money line as well because I think they win this game.
I'm going to take Arizona because I think they're going to lead with the run. And because these defenses are right next to each other statistically in terms of total yards, so they're right next to each other. But I'm going to take the Cardinals and that running game, which I think they're really going to sit down and focus on running the ball more than anything with Trey Benson as well as John Connor. I know they just gave John Connor a new contract, but I think they're going to be looking to really get Trey Benson, their rookie, involved here. So I think they're going to lead with the run and they're going to be able to beat these Seahawks because I know we talk about Kyler Murray in a sense, but Geno, it's a kind of wait and see because he's going to throw you one at an inopportune time for his team, but an opportunistic time for your team. So I'm going to take the reason I'm taking him is because of the run game, and I think Geno's going to be the one to make the critical mistake.
Yeah, I don't trust either one of these quarterbacks. I mean, quite frankly, I just don't. I think they're both turnover prone. They're both going to give you chances to make or opportunities, I should say, to make turnovers. I think for me, it's a tight game. We know this is a divisional battle. It should be close, but yeah, I guess I trust Seattle a little more, not a whole lot more, but a little more here in this matchup. Now, next game we've got LA Rams taking on the Bills, who are red hot. Bills are a 4-point favorite. Look, I looked into the numbers here. Josh Allen as a favorite of more than 3 points is 55% against the spread for his career on the road, which is a really, really impressive stat. Now, the Bills, they're playing lights out. And I think what's really stood out to me, Alex, and we've talked about this on the audio podcast as well, their identity has shifted. And this team is running the ball and they have balance, and they've become so tough to defend, especially with Josh Allen playing at another level this year, taking care of the ball ever since Joe Brady took over. The play calling, this team is just completely different now. And the Rams, look, they haven't been the team I expected. This was a team that I kind of circled as an NFC dark horse that can maybe surprise some people. Injuries have been a part of the story, but they just haven't been able to put it all together. Stafford has been really up and down this year. He's had moments, but then he disappears. This feels like a letdown spot for the Bills. This would kind of be one of those spots you're like, okay, this could be a letdown game for them. But I'm not betting against the Bills when they know how important this number one seed is that they're fighting for right now. Bills are a 4-point favorite, like I mentioned. It opened at 3.5. It's already moved to 4. So I'm going to follow the money here in the pro bettors and ride with Buffalo.
And I'm going to go in the complete opposite direction there. And I'm going to take the Rams. Next week, the Bills face Detroit. That's going to be a huge game for both teams. And I think they're going to overlook the Rams, and both games are on the road. So they're traveling from the east to the west. And I think that they're going to be able to scheme up some things. And I saw that the Bills signed Micah Hyde, exploiting the point that I've been saying about the Bills on defense. They are not tough on defense, and that defensive backfield is weak. And here comes Sean McVay and what he can scheme up against this team. The Bills have won 7 in a row, and the Rams have been up and down. I believe that they want to make a late playoff push, especially if we're talking about the game we spoke about previously with the Cardinals beating the Seahawks. That puts the Rams tied for first place. Well, actually, a 3-way tie for first place at that point in time. And I think the Rams are going to be able to pull this one out.
All right. The Sunday night football game. This is a fun matchup here. We've got AFC battle, the Kansas City Chiefs, 3.5-point favorites over the LA Chargers. This line opened with Kansas City as a 4.5-point favorite on Sunday night. It's already moved a full point the other direction. And look, that's because the bettors, and when I say the bettors, I mean the sharp bettors, the pro bettors, they're realizing that this isn't the same Kansas City team, especially on offense. They let everybody hang around every week, it seems like, even terrible Panthers and Raiders teams, even before Harbaugh took over. If you look historically with these matchups, the Chargers and the Chiefs have always played very close games. Kansas City usually wins those games, but it almost always comes down to a late possession. It usually comes down to the wire. And that was with Anthony Lynn and Brandon Staley coaching. So with Harbaugh there, I trust them even more to be able to keep this game close. If not, maybe outright win this game, because it kind of feels like the Chiefs are due for an L. 3.5 points is where the betting value is. And I think that half point is so key here. If it was 3, I'd be really leaning towards Kansas City, especially at home. That half point is close because I think this game is going to be close. So give me the Chargers plus 3.5.
You know what? The points aspect here makes a lot of sense. And the reason I say that is this is a game where, so J.K. Dobbins is out. And fantasy alert, if you haven't picked up Gus Edwards, go pick up Gus Edwards. I don't know if he's going to have a good game because that Kansas City defense is tough, but pick up Gus Edwards. And what their identity is not there anymore in terms of what J.K. Dobbins and his explosiveness. Now, Gus Edwards is a tough runner. He lacks the explosiveness, and perhaps we see a little bit more of the rookie that the Chargers do have. But what I will say, who is actually back, is Isaiah Pacheco. And I believe we're about to see the Kansas City Chiefs morph once again into a different style of team where you're going to see a two-headed smash mouth football team with Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco. And I don't think any team wants to take that type of pounding, as well as the cold, because once again, this is a West Coast team traveling to the Midwest, and we are facing a cold front at the moment. I don't think the Chargers are going to be ready for that type of weather. I think they're going to be shell shocked, and I'm going to take the Chiefs. I believe it's going to be close, but I see more of a 21-17 to an 0 to your 3.5 at that point. So they'll cover that half point. It'll be close, but I see it as a 21-17 point game.
All right, Alex, give me a off the radar pick, maybe a big upset, a lock of the week. Just give me a bonus pick before we get out of here.
Well, actually, I have a few. I'll actually start small and go big just to be fair. So really quick, take the Giants over the Saints there. I see 4.5. Maybe you see something different, Brad. Again, I'm only looking at one site, but take the four
At
and a half
home.
at home.
Yeah.
It's gonna be chilly. A dome team coming to the East Coast where we're facing a cold front. I think the Giants are due for a win. Thank you very much, or thank you, God, as an ode to Shador Sanders. The Raiders will move up firmly into that, perhaps that number one spot. But the Giants will beat the Saints as a Southern team comes to the East Coast and they're not ready. Southern Dome team comes to the East Coast. I'll give you another one. Give me the Jets over the Dolphins. I know the Dolphins are trying to have this surge, but that Jets defense is for real. They haven't been as dominant, but they are for real. But I see 6 points, give me the 6 points and the Jets over the Dolphins. And finally, the actual lock of the week is take the Panthers over the Eagles. Take them both ways. Take a money line and
Oh,
take the 13 points. The
oh,
Eagles have been on a 7-game win streak, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe a 9-game win streak. They are due to lose. They're going to be overlooking the Panthers as usual, and the Panthers are actually due for a win. Bryce Young is inching to turn the corner. I don't want to say he's fully turned the corner, but looking at that team and what they've been able to do against top teams, because even though Tampa Bay may not be at the top because they were injured, but they're a surging team. They played them close. They played Kansas City close. They are due to finally pop one of these and get an actual win. So I am looking for the Panthers to beat the Eagles. That's why I say take them both ways. Take a money line and take the 13. So that's my big lock of the week.
love it, love it, love it. Yeah, I'm with you on the Giants. I love that 4.5 at home. Give me a home dog, especially versus a bad Saints team. I don't have the guts to take money line on Panthers, but I love the 13 points. Way too much value to ignore. I don't know if I can get on board with the Jets. I'm not sure on that one. I'll give you a pick though here before we get out of here. How about Tampa Bay? And I'm going to lay the 6.5 points here because this team is fighting for an NFC South championship and they're at home. Raiders are going to have to travel to Florida here. I think they're too much to handle, and I think the Buccaneers get a big, impressive win, knowing how important these late games are to try to get that division title. Guys, look, if you enjoyed the podcast here, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and check out the audio podcast. It's available here on YouTube. It's also available, of course, on Spotify and Apple Podcast.